Hello, students. My name is Anuja, and today we are going to talk about a very particular question type in reading comprehension, that is tone identification. Now, this could be tricky for most of you because it is not explicitly mentioned in the passage. Nevertheless, it is derived from the passage itself. Now, a tone question can also be asked in the form of the writing style of the author. Now, this is something where we are required to read between the lines. All right. Now, even before we get started with the technique of how to identify RC tones, I want you to do a very simple thing next time you read an RC passage. It's a very simple thing. You ask yourself three questions. What are the three questions? You ask yourself what, why, and how. So you ask yourself, what is the author trying to say? What is his theme? What is his main point? You ask yourself, how is he saying it? How is he presenting his ideas? What sort of adjectives is he using? Is he favoring or is he criticizing? How is he voicing his opinion? And why is he doing so? What is his purpose? Because if you could do that, you will automatically have answers to most of the questions that are asked in an RC passage, because tone is very strongly related to purpose. That means how is very strongly related to why. Because see, if I am choosing a particular tone to talk to you today, that is because I have a very specific purpose today. And that is why my tone is different from what I use probably when I'm not taking this class, right? So, if we could understand an author's purpose, we should be able to understand his tones. Okay, and that is why I am starting with the most common purposes of writing. Why does an author choose to communicate with you? What are the most common purposes of writing? So, here we have the first purpose, which is to inform somebody. Now, this is very plain and simple. He has a factual information. In a very objective way, he wants to share it with you. When I say objective, I mean that he does not want to introduce his or her own opinion there. It's a simple factual tone that he's using. He's merely being informative about something, and you would sense no bias or prejudice here. But sometimes the purpose could be to describe. Now, people often confuse description with narration or for analysis, but then these are all very different ball games. Now, when we talk about description, it means that the author is more into details. He wants to paint a word picture for you. He wants to give you so many details so that you could imagine that particular person or object, and that is when he is going descriptive. Okay, now, but then when he's trying to narrate, his purpose is entirely different. There is a story, let us say, or an incident or an anecdote that has happened, and he's here to tell it to you. Okay, so do not think that description is same as narration. In fact, very different things are described and different things are narrated. All right, now, to explain could be another purpose. Now, explanation is an altogether different thing, because when we are explaining, our purpose is that the person understands. For that, we might take pros and cons. We might want to come to a concrete conclusion. So that's another very different thing here. Yes. And then, if we are talking about taking a stand, so he could take two sorts of stands. Either he could be appreciative and he could be all praise, or he could take a negative stand there. Now, he could voice his opinion in a very direct, harsh sort of way. He could get vituperative, or he could hide it behind sarcasm or satire. So he could be indirect as well. All right. And then sometimes he just wants to assert his superiority. He wants to be dogmatic. He wants to make you realize how he is superior, and that is why you must follow what he's saying. So these could be some of the very common purposes that we get to see in an RC passage. And if we keep these purposes in mind, we will automatically exactly know the tone the author is going to take. So, today, what I have planned for our session is that I will make you learn this by practice. I have got 10 questions today, and we'll solve them together, and we'll try to understand the purpose of the author, and then we'll go by the method of elimination. I'll also tell you the sort of keywords that you should notice, and let's get started then. So here we go with the very first question. Now, of course, you need to do the same thing. You have to find out the tone of the writer. Now, first things first, you must know all the meanings so that you could be sure what does this word mean. So desperate is of course when he's is in urgency. Now when he's being cynical or skeptical, he has some doubts that are there in his mind. He's not very trusting in nature, and that is why he has reservations there. Now, sanguine is a synonym of optimistic. So, when he's very positive minded, then he's being optimistic. And satirical, like I just explained, is a method of criticizing someone, but that is an indirect criticism because it is in the garb of humor. Yes, and you would be giving some societal message by the help of satire. Okay, so let us just see what's happening here. Let me show you the very part that will take you towards your answer. So, the very first sentence reads, everybody knows that the real problem with illegal drugs is they cost too much and they're so difficult to get that drug addict need to commit crime. That means I mean, the author is definitely not meaning what he's saying, because he's saying that is the real problem with drugs, that they cost too much. He's not talking about the real problems at all. He's trying to um, give a very light-hearted, tongue-in-cheek treatment to something which is very problematic here, and that is exactly what the recipe of satire is. I guess you might have heard of R.K. Lakshman here, the famous cartoonist who was master of this genre. Yes, so that is the thing here. See, he's saying those sort of things. If only people could go down to the nearest 7-Eleven, and if they could get cocaine in their drinks, it would be so easy. You won't have to kill anyone and you'll simply get. So he's trying to point out the issue to you in a very humorous way. You need to make sure that you get this tone and you do not take him on face value. Okay, moving on to question number two, guys. Now, this is a very easy one because the very first line is going to give you a lot of hints. Now, this says, he has given to many young musicians by direct influence and through his disciples a renewed sense of all that music is. That means he is a source of inspiration from whom we can all learn so much. Yes, एंड कम से कम इतना तो यहाँ पर क्लियर हो जा रहा है कि यहाँ पे ऑथर एक पॉजिटिव टोन रख रहा है. इनफैक्ट आई वॉन्ट यू टू डू दिस classification in the very very beginning, where you understand that the author is trying to be positive, negative, or neutral. That would simplify things for you. Now let's have a look at the options. So optimistic, like I just explained, is like sanguine when the author is very positive minded. Deferential is when he's trying to show respect to someone, which exactly the author is doing here. Speculative is when he's not sure, so he's guessing, doing guesswork. That is speculation. And fawning is showing respect, but then that respect is not genuine. It is just a facade that he's putting on. He's an imposter. He's acting as if he respects you, but he really does not. Now, don't be tempted to choose that option because we have no evidence, and we work on evidence. We have no evidence in this particular set that the author's appreciation is not genuine. Okay, so we can very easily eliminate other options if we know the meaning, and now that we have understood, we can go ahead with B. Moving on to question number three, guys. Now, here two sentences are very important. In fact, if you want to read in greater detail, you can pause the video and read the entire passage and listen to the explanation after that. Now, you can pause it right here if you want to, if you need to read. But let me show you the two most important lines from where you will get your answer. So, the first line, the author says, Traditional values are changing. We are aping the West and making monkey of ourselves. Now, this definitely seems critical. The author is not happy with what we are doing. But if you move on and come towards the end, you would find this sentence. So, while there is change, like I mentioned earlier, it isn't all for the worse. That means he has somehow come to accept things for what they are. So, he started on a very critical note, but then he slowly became optimistic. Okay, now that is exactly what A says, and that is why that is the correct option that we are going to choose. Yes, moving on to question number 4. Now, this is a very interesting one because it is so layered. Why I'm calling it layered, you would see some verbal irony here. The author is saying something, but he has some ulterior motive, hidden agenda. He's saying, he's addressing comrades, he says that you think that, we like milk and apples, but then we don't. We are eating milk, we are consuming milk and apples because we are brain workers here and we are working for you. So if we do not take care of our health, then we are not the ones who are losing something here. You lose. And if you see the irony there, he's trying to convince his audience to give all the great rewards of their hard work to him, but he's pretending as if he's doing this for their own benefit. Yes, so he is being very, very persuasive. Had manipulative been an option, I think that would be even better one because he's definitely playing with the minds of their audiences. And I'm hoping that by now, at least some of you must have recognized that this is from the famous novella by a great author George Orwell, Animal Farm. So if you haven't read that book, I suggest that you read that one. And if I may suggest one more, you should once in your lifetime definitely read 1984. Now, do not read that one if you are a beginner because the language isn't tough. You would be able to read it, but then you won't be able to appreciate it. Your thought process should be mature enough to appreciate or rather get horrified by the dystopia there. So I must suggest that you need to read these two, at least these two by George Orwell, but then you take your time. Okay, moving on to question number 5, guys. Now, this is an interesting one. The author is talking about astronomical spectroscopy. Now, like I've already suggested, I want you to pause the video here and you can read the entire passage and then you can replay and listen to the explanation. So, he's talking about astronomical spectroscopy and then he goes ahead to explain what method is this and how is it useful. Now, let's see the options which are very close. Now, many of you might think that I'll go ahead with instructional, but think about it. He's not giving you any instructions per se, because let's say I want to teach you how to make a great cup of tea, then I'm going to give you step by step instructions, and that's not exactly what he's doing. Now, moralizing is giving you a sermon, a moral lesson, and if you become too dogmatic about it, then you become pedantic. If you become too imposing, very particular about details, or rather too particular about details, then you become pedantic. But I think what he's simply doing here is he wants you to know what astronomical spectroscopy is, and that is why I think his tone is edifying. Now, when you edify someone, you educate them, you teach them something. It could be of spiritual nature, it could be of moral nature, or it could be something intellectual as well, which I believe the author is doing here. Yes. So I think by now you must have understood that dealing with this RC tones business is primarily an exercise in vocabulary, because if you don't know the most important words, then you would not be simply able to understand. And then it's a lot about noticing the right keywords and the right places. So you can think of Pareto principle here, because there's some 20% part of your passage which is going to give you an 80% idea of what is happening here. Now, your task as an effective reader is to identify that 20% part. And don't worry, you will get there with regular guidance and practice. So, let's move on to question number 6. Now, here, as you say, the author starts with the message that we must throw out the bottles and boxes of drugs in your house. And then what should we do? Rather, he says that we should go for something which is more spiritual. So we should go for Reiki, yoga, Tai Chi, the things that use our inner energy to heal ourselves. We should go for that. Okay, so what do you think is the best this style of the author? Is it confrontational? Now, when we become confrontational, we become rather aggressive. And I don't think the author is taking up the issue in a very aggressive way. Is he vain? Now, vain could have multiple meanings, but then when you call a person vain, you mean that he's too obsessed about his looks. And I don't think that's happening at all here. So then what else have we got? We've got argumentative, we've got persuasive. Now, what's the difference? When the person is argumentative, he's going to give you several arguments, maybe pros and cons, to convince you or to come to a concrete conclusion. And persuasive, he's by using rhetoric, he'll try to sell you the idea. I think that is what the author is trying to do here. He's giving you all the benefits of these spiritual methods. He's telling you that there won't be any side effects and it's scientifically explained, and hence you must leave the usual course of medicine, allopathy, and you should go for different pathies. So the answer here is A. Of course, there are nuances, fine differences, but then you'll get there if you are noticing. So, guys, on the very same passage, you get one more question to handle, which is a very particular question, because here the author is not, the question setter is not talking about the entire tone, but he's talking about the tone of a particular line, or rather a particular object. So, he says, what is the author's attitude towards painkillers, x rays, and MRI scans? That means not overall, but just about those three things. Okay, so I want to bring your attention to a particular line here. It says, we must admit that these methods are very effective in the examples that they provide. And when he says these methods, he's actually referring to X rays, MRI scans, and painkillers. That means overall he was not in support of conventional medicine, but then these things he feel are doing a good job. That means overall he criticizes, but in that entire circle of negativity, he has found something that is exemplary, that is exceptional. So, what should be the right word? Now, complementary would defeat the purpose because it would seem that we are appreciating the entire thing, which we are not. Critical would just take care of that part that we are criticizing, but then again, miss the bigger picture that it is, I think, a dot of positivity in I think an ocean of negativity. So we need a word that gives us a great combination of the two. Now, let's say what is accommodating. Now, what happens when you're accommodating? So, you do not like the entire thing, but for something you're making an exception, you're accommodating it. And I think that's the one that catches the drift perfectly. Now, what is wrong with compromising? People often feel, but then this is a trick option, because compromising as an adjective has an altogether different meaning, something which is indecent and does not fit in the context at all. So do not get confused between option C and D. It has to be C. All right. So now here we have to be particularly careful because the options could be closed. In fact, most of the students get confused between descriptive and analytical. Now, as I've already told you, description is a very different concept. When you're describing, your purpose is to make the other person imagine how that object or that person was. And when you're analyzing, you want to do an in depth research, maybe pros and cons analysis or a cause effect study, and you want to come to a concrete conclusion. Okay, now let's see what the author is doing here. According to the theory of evolution, at some time in the distant past, there was no life, just elements and chemical compounds. Somehow these chemicals combined and came to life. However, scientists don't really know how life came to be. In fact, people are not sure about the origin of life. So he has given you several examples and he is trying to prove that origin of life is still unknown. That means it's not simply about doubting something, and it's not simply about describing something, but he's rather trying to come to a concrete conclusion. And that is why we need to go ahead with D. Analytical, which is also known as expository, by the way. So expository comes from expose, or because you're trying to bring something to light, and then that is why you're trying to come to a concrete conclusion. So analytical is also expository and argumentative. Okay, moving on to the ninth question. So here we see once again a similar thing happening. Author is trying to prove something, and he has examples to prove his point. He says, turning the pages, we realize that Darwin, the great Victorian sage, doesn't write like a sage. He writes like a Victorian novelist, and that means that is his concrete conclusion, and he has evidence to support his point. He says that his prose is calm and exact and witty and all those things. So again, he's being analytical. We won't call it objective at all, because if you remember, objective has got no bias. The author won't criticize, he won't appreciate, he would simply state a fact. And caustic is very harsh criticism, which is not at all happening here. Yes, and I think you also realize that it has got nothing to do with philosophy. So, yeah. All right, guys, the last question here. Now, I think sometimes you get really lucky because the opening three words are a giveaway. Acts of idiocy, idiotic behavior. So the author is not happy with whatever he's going to say ahead, and that is why he is going to be critical criticism से related है ना. It is not tragic. So it's one thing to criticize something and it is another thing to feel sad about something. So he's not sad about it, but then he's feeling that these people shouldn't have done this, so he's critical. And of course he cannot be reverential, because that is the exact opposite of being critical. Okay, so that was my set today, guys. I hope it gave you a very good perspective of how to handle tone questions in reading comprehension passages. And I'll be back soon with more such topics. So thank you so much for watching. Have a good day.